I'm going to get you to go with me to Daniel 3. And it reads, I'll be going back. We're going to start at verse 16. And we'll complete it at verse 18. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to King Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. You can take your seats. The title is Tests and Trials While on the Trail. I was trying, you can go so many different places with tests and trials, but God showed me something. I've read this many times, and he was showing something different in it. And we all know they went and know the story. They went in the fire. There was a fourth man. They was protected. They came out, and all those good things. But God wanted me to share with you guys that know the difference between a test and a trial. And I think they're the same thing until he showed me a couple things. And sometimes, and somebody brought it out this morning, we have to recognize a thing naturally as well as spiritually. So what I want us to realize today is, and I'm going into my notes because God was saying something to me when I was sitting. He says, listen, he says, let them know that tests are going to come. But I'm with them. I am with them. And when he took me back, he says, go back to when you took tests in school. And I started to reminisce, and he says, when you took an elementary test, you're eager to finish fast. And that's what we did in the beginning. We was eager to get everything God wanted done real fast to please him, even though we made mistakes, and then he winked at those. And because we were in the elementary state, he let that go on. And then we graduate on to go to middle school. And then our tests get a little more intense. But yet now we're not so much as fast and eager, we're more laid back because we're middle way. And God was showing me, he says, when they get to middle school, they find friends and different people. So they get relaxed because they get mental state is, I already know most of this and I got this. And then the test comes. See, and one thing about when you get in middle school, and I've learned that when I was in middle school, is that when the test comes, we're supposed to be quiet. But see, some of us don't know how to be quiet during the test. And then we tend to fail it. I looked it up. I said, let me just see what test means. And I took two meanings. The first meaning was it means by which the presence, quality, and genuineness of anything is determined. So when you're being tested, you need to realize God is proving you. Stop thinking that he's punishing you when he's proving you. And then a second one says, it's a set of questions or problems or light used, to elevate you or to show quality of you. And I said to myself, okay, God, we already know that. I know that somewhat that sometimes they're just proving us and testing us. He says, but they still don't have it. Because see, when the tests come, they have a time to pass. See, when you're in school, they set a time for you to take a test. And a lot of us have taken too much time on one test. And God is saying, listen, I have given you this test, yet you're taking too much time on this test. See, we have to realize is that when the test comes, be prepared to pass the test and not be so more prepared to finish the test. Come on, saints, hear me now. You working so fast to get past the test and get it over with, you miss the fact that you're not passing the test. See, I think we got that mentality that the school says that, hey, if you make a 70%, you have passed the test. But hear this. God says, no, I'm looking for 100%. And then it comes up, I said to myself, okay, God, so I get that we moving too fast. And that sometimes we're moving too slow. But of course, it's not intentionally to move slow or fast. We just want to come up out this test. Let's be honest, a lot of us that took in tests, we just want to get in there and take it and get out. That's how life is when our tests come. We want to get it over with. God, I got to go through this, so make it fast, quick, in a hurry, and send a blessing afterward. So I asked him, I said to myself, God, listen, I'm going to give them the fact that, the states of elementary, middle, high school, right? So when I got to high school, he says on high school level, they should be at a whole nother level of their tests. Why? Because tests come on different levels. And sometimes they're the same test. You just don't realize it's a different level. When you transfer to each school level, you're going to get what you already knew. And that's what God says. He says, half of the stuff they're being tested on, they already know. They already know, but they're so busy trying to get ahead of me, they missing the questions. Sometimes we misread questions on a test. Little tricky little questions that be on a test, we read them so fast till we read over what it really said. And God said, that's what you're doing in the situation of your life right now. You are not reading what's going on. You're reading too fast. And God says, slow your pace down a little bit. I got some witnesses that you have found yourself in the same situation you were before, and you don't know why you're back there. Well, I'm going to tell you, God says, because I'm going to talk about me. This is how he dealt with me. Because I said, Lord, why I'm back here again? He says, first thing is, you never passed the test. And I said, well, I did this, and I did that, and I did this, and I did that. And he says, you did. You did this, and you did that. And say, by the world, you passed it. But by me, you didn't. And I told him, I said, well, I get that you don't want 70%, you want 100%. And he said to me, he says, yeah, I want 100% because you want 100% from me. I don't come half-stepping when I come. When I bless, I bless. So I said, okay. So how do we deal with our test? How do we really deal with our test, Lord? He said the same way that Christ did. The same way that Job did. The same way the three Hebrew boys did. See, they never lost faith about going in that fire. See, what they realize is that, hey, I know where my heart is with him. And some of us need to hear this. So if God don't deliver me out this situation, it's okay. Why? Because see, they was at a place where they were going to die. When you can hold faith like that on your deathbed, you got some faith. And they said, you know what? Even if he don't, we ain't going to serve your God. I want to say to the church, even if God allows things to happen in this country right now, hear me, Holy Ghost, hear me by the Holy Ghost, know that we will not serve anything outside of the will of God. This is the season we have to stand and be just like the three Hebrew boys. We cannot sway neither way, left or right. But we got to stay on the narrow road. Right now, the church is become, and John brought it out this morning, under attack like never before. And eyes are being closed because we're too busy defending when we should be praying. This is a test that God has sent for us to see just how we'll react. So I say to the church, in the times that we're going through now, it is a test to prove just who the church really is. So are we going to make 70% or are we going to make 100%? I'll deal with that on the testing part. But God dealt with me, and he said to me, he says, those are the tests. But I said, but God, what about these trials? And what he showed me is, he says, you know what? Think about naturally what a trial does. When you go on trial in a courtroom, it doesn't last like an hour or two. It's going to last at least a day or two, a week. And God says, let them know that the trial is the path they're on. Jesus said that we will be crucified for his name's sake. So sometimes I wonder what we're thinking about when we're going through things. Are we believing what the word says, or are we believing what we think? He says, let them know. As I looked at the scriptures, he started to show me something. He says, listen, he says, you're thinking about them going in the furnace of fire, right? And you think that's just awful. He says, but think about them living in a land that they can't serve the God that they want to serve. They are serving and staying in a land that defies them to even serve him. But we so busy complaining about the small things. And we're in a land that we can praise him whenever we want. Some of us think that we're in a trial. In reality is you're in a trial to a path to get somewhere. To a path to get somewhere. You know, I said to myself, I said, okay, let's get a meeting on trial. It says the act of trying or testing or putting to proof. I think James said it most. He says, knowing this, that the trying of my faith worketh patience, which makes us perfect in God. Sometimes we don't realize because we're going through something we think is punishment. But in reality, it is God proving just who he said you was. Think about Job. You know, Job never did anything. But Satan had to go up and say, you know what? He served you because of these things that you've given him. So God said, go ahead. Do what you got to do. But what happened was God was proving who Job really was. And in some of us, God is proving who you really are. Your test may be finances. Your trial may be the fact that you can't stay on track with your finances. But know this. God is still the same God he was with the 3 Hebrew boys. He's able to deliver you out of it. When you think about a trial, and I know this is what the church is going through right now. You think about a trial, you think about the fact of a judge. And too many people are trying to be judge and jury. When I say that, I say this. Right in this season, people are going to judge the church even the more. They're going to judge us even the more. But we got to know that's our trial. That's what we're going to have to go through. And you got to be strong enough to stand now, because this is just the beginning. If you're not strong to stand now, you're going to fall apart, sure enough, in the end. We don't know where we are. Thank you, Holy Ghost. Whether we're in the first tribulation part or the last. But what I do know is, if my heart is right, that's all that matters. I'm set up with God. And I want us to realize, too, God never wants us to act out on what people are saying. How can you stand before people and say, I'm Christ-like, yet you're not acting like Christ? I think Jesus was a prime example, how they scolded him and beat him, and he never said a mumbling word. We have to intake that, too, as well as everything else of him. Study to be quiet. They're going to talk about us. They're going to say this about us. They're going to say that about us. But this is the trail that God has put us on. And what we need to realize is, even in the midst of the trail and the trials that we're going through, God is still able. His word will not return void. He says, listen here, we will reign with him if we just stay right. To me, the ending is better than now. Don't get me wrong, we all need finances. We're all expecting the things that God has said he was going to do in our life to happen. But we expect so much to happen, and we ain't doing nothing. I can say that. by me. Because, see, the word hit me first. We'll say this quick. Galatians 2:20 says this, I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live. Yet not I, but Christ lives in me. I laugh because I say to myself, we quick to say it, but nobody reacts when they're being crucified like that. They react by saying how their flesh feels. And that's what's going on now. We're reacting in our flesh. And I want to say this to the church. Listen, don't react in your flesh. Realize that if Christ suffered, you are going to suffer too. This needs to be said because too many people want this glorious life. And I'm not saying that he's not going to give it to you and you're not going to have some of that. Because I truly believe that if we're living right, God will give us the desires of our heart. But he ain't going to give you your desire if your heart is not his heart. Let's keep it real. Now, some of this stuff he ain't giving you. And some of us ain't ready for it anyways, to be truth be told. We don't know how to handle it. We am not prepared for it. So as I'm saying that for the trials, but then God gave me trail instead of path. And I was wondering why. Why would it be a trail after tests and trials? I'm going to write path now. He says, no. He says, because what they need to realize that they're on a trail. This is why you're on a trail. The meaning of trail says to drag and let drag alone on the ground. And the other surface drawn to drag among behind. What we need to realize is we're supposed to be following Christ. Right? We're following Christ. So what he was letting me know is it's going to become some times where you're going to feel like you're being drugged. You're going to get scraped up a little bit. But this is the trail I put you on. To whom much is given, much is required. A lot of us want gifts and we want to be manifest and we want God to show who we are and we want to be on big flat platforms and be seen, but we don't want the things that'll come with that. There are things that come with who you are. There are trials that are going to come with who you are. I don't think anybody had more of a testimony than Christ did. All he had to go through and he never did a thing. So the who you are is about how your tests and your trials come. The key thing is how you handle them and how you deal with it. Everybody knows that I'm not a long speaker, and God just quickened this and said, get on, because some of this it's not even on here that I'm saying. But I'll say this. There is a final destination. There is a final destination. Through all you've gone through everything you had to endure, there is a final destination. And that destination is to be raptured up and to meet Christ in the clouds. I know to some of y'all, they might say, no, but what about now? I want mine now. If you're not strong enough to survive now, and I'm going to say that again, you won't survive then. So we're weakened by what's going on right now. When I get on Facebook, I see stuff I can't believe certain people are saying. It's 12 o'clock. We're still here. I say that to say this. I want to call forth true prophets to prepare us for the future. I want to call forth true prophets that will prepare us for the future. I say this to say this. Too many times we're looking for a word and you already have it. Our man of God sits on this stage constantly and gives a word. We got people in here that give us little nuggets. Elder John is one that has manifest. Stop looking for a word that makes you feel good and look for the true word. Stop looking for the cars. Start looking for the house and looking for what's going to manifest the kingdom. I know that people say every time she got to scold somebody and say this, but trust me, I'm only saying what God has given me in this right now, this minute, because I really want to go down there and sit down, and I'm going to keep that real. That's real talk. But in my closing, I want you guys to realize our final destination is Christ. to get to him, to get to the Father, to say, servant, well done. That's the destination you want to look for. That's the one you want to look for. And in that saying, you're saying, oh, it's a new place. But it really isn't. We're just going back home to the Father. And as I close, I want to say this. You will go through tests. And guess what? They're going to be short. And this time we're going to pass them with 100. You're going to go through trials where people are going to judge you. But guess what? God got you. The trail may seem a little bumpy, but God's word said he'll make every crooked road straight. Stay on course. Don't lose focus. Your tests will come. Your trials will come. Even the trail is going to get bumpy. But know this, the final destination is worth it all. To God be the glory.